Hi everyone, it's Kasia from Tarot Map, and in this video, this is like a VR to Aunty K's tarot video on inclusion and diversity. Um, so I will link her video below. You can take a look. And I wanted to kind of invite everyone to a discussion. First of all, what Aunty K is saying in her video. And what she pointed to me personally in the comments under my video, being a white person benefiting from a white supremacy system, my first reaction was a little bit like defensive, and like, what? I am for inclusion, of course I'm for inclusion, and it's interesting, because diversity, inclusion, I realize that even the very same fact that we are even talking about it, that then there is a need to talk about diversity, that there is a need to talk about inclusion, already points to the fact that, we know that the system is rigged, it's horrible, it's not equal, it's oppressive to many, many people. So I think that the reaction to defend or to deny the fact when somebody says something to you, to any other person, it's it's worth to recheck that reaction, okay? Because it's uncomfortable and it makes you feel like you're being judged unfairly, of course. But over the last 2 years, I've learned personally so much about it. And often when I thought I'm in the right and I thought about something and, from my perspective, it just looked like logical and what the fuck, I learned that, no, oops, maybe actually I wasn't right. So I think it's really important to sit with that discomfort and actually recheck and give this person who tells you something a benefit of a doubt, because obviously in some way they care, if they put something out there for you to recheck, or to, when they say that something is hurtful or it's not fair or it's not right, you don't have to take it all on board and go straight away, oh yes, you're right, I'm sorry. But also, don't disregard it, because I think in a way they care, for people to take time to tell you, to write stuff, to express themselves and to make sure that you actually check. I feel like this is a sign of care, and it's important for me that I actually sit with it. And even if I feel uncomfortable or I feel like, oh my God, no, that's not me, I actually check. So the point that was made is that it I come across when I talk about decks in some of my video reviews that I don't support diversity and inclusion, and that I come across like this. And in my mind, of course, I'm like, no, I always supported inclusive decks, always supported diverse decks. I never liked that kind of all white, pretty faces, skinny bodies decks, But I listened to some of the videos, and I think the way I speak about it, um, I realize that I do come across a bit like I don't care about it, or that it's not so important. And I realize that the language that I use is not maybe great, to say the least. And I wanted to make this video because I thought that it's important now that I actually put a statement, I am for a diverse decks, and I think that diversity in tarot is really, really important. And I think that I do support diversity, and I have been supporting diversity. I think that the more nuanced the discussion on dialogue on diversity becomes, it's important to also maybe be more nuanced about how we approach it, because mostly what I mean when I say that not every deck has to be inclusive is when, for example, when I look at the lovers card. Okay, so there is a lovers card in the Super Lunaris deck, which is a very diverse deck. It shows all this possible, human expression. There's a lot of different cultures, a lot of different body types, a lot of different skin colors, a lot of different kind of traditions. But in the lovers card, and I think that's what I mentioned in my video, in the review of Super Lunaris, I mentioned that it's really hard to create these days. What I mean is not that, okay, you're white and it's difficult, so just don't worry about it, create only what makes you comfortable. But, this is the lovers card from the Super Lunaris tarot. And I think, it's fab. Like you can be whatever and however you understand love. You can be non-binary, you can be heterosexual, you can be gay, you can be lesbian, you can be whatever expression of love you represent. You can probably see yourself in this card, right? But I am a tarot reader, and to be honest, I love seeing people in lovers. So for me, I love this deck and this expression, and it's great, and I'm happy to have a deck that shows lovers like this. But if now every deck just comes without people and just shows some symbols, because artists, in some way, I feel I'm maybe not afraid, but they limit it in how they can express they themselves in a way. I feel it's something is like not right. It just doesn't feel right as well. So this is from the Bright Future tarot, and I love these lovers, and I'm not black, I'm white. But I am heterosexual, and I love the eras. I love how the couple is in bed. I totally relate to this card. And I'm thinking, like, through this discussion on diversity, on inclusivity, do we limit artists? Do we censor how people are free to express themselves? And I don't want to sound now like I'm certain about it. I don't know. This is the questions I have. If I'm a heterosexual white woman, I want to see a heterosexual couple in the lovers card. But if I was I don't know, Asian queer woman, I would like to see just two amazing women in the lovers card. If I was a gay guy, I want to see two guys in the in the lovers card. So how do we? And is it even possible for us to include all of these expressions in one tarot card? And do we have to do it this way? So my question is, wouldn't it be better if rather than artists feeling this pressure of like including everybody and everything in a deck, express their own lived experience of their lives? Wouldn't it be better if we, for example, or if artists created a few different lovers cards, rather than trying to fit everything into one? Maybe we should have, and again, we won't be able to probably show everybody's love expression, but we could go for like, heterosexual, gay, lesbian, non-binary, and let's say like the four, and we could have different bodies, different skin colors there, and so on. Maybe that's a option, a solution for this. I don't know. Maybe I know also that the white supremacy system supports mostly the white artists, and we are trying to turn it around. And I think it's really important that we also act at that level. And I think here Queen Osset, actually, she hit it on the nail, because she was also from the beginning advocating and writing to the publishing houses and making sure that like at the level where the decisions are made, that they know that we want more diverse decks, we want different decks, we want different expressions. So I think this is really important, that maybe we are different, we live in different cultures, we live in different countries, we live in different lives, and diversity doesn't maybe necessarily has to be shown all in one deck, but maybe we can have many decks showing diverse experiences. Plus, we can have decks that show it all in one deck. I I don't know, I'm just like wondering how to make an artist from any culture free to express what they know and how they live. Like, would you want to see all different skin colors in dust to onyx tarot? No, this is a deck that targets specific culture and targets specific expression and specific ancestry. The deck, for example, of Jessica's Zinchuk deck, where she shows herself basically. She's a white woman, so we see her in every card. It's her, it's her white body, and it's her body, right? So, like, she obviously wouldn't be showing many different women here, but all women can relate to these cards because they talk about body freedom. The same with the self-love tarot by Hania, the Polish deck, where she shows her body, and her deck was about showing the body, that it's a body awareness deck. It's a self-love deck when she shows her hairy legs and her little boobies, and she wants to kind of break this approach to women's body, that you have to be skinny, pretty, not fat. But she is white, right? So she shows herself in the deck. Now, but then I also understand, because of inequality of the system, how much more difficult it may be for people from minority cultures, like non-binary people. That obviously, compared to the maybe heterosexuals, there's not so many non-binary people right now, at least yet. Who knows how it's going to go later? But and then the publishers wanting to sell many decks, how it might be difficult to create on the equal scale, right? So maybe it's not a solution to go, maybe not every deck has to include everybody in it, and maybe every deck has to include everybody in it, because people who are, let's say, from the minority culture, it's really hard for them to publish decks. But then on the other hand, there's a lot of artists that publish themselves now, and we as the recipients have the money power, right? If we want to see a deck happen, there's Kickstarters, there's self-publishing and pre-orders and so on and so forth. We can support those decks, and some of the decks also, if you don't want to buy a deck, let's say, if you feel like, okay, like it's nice to have divine masculine deck, but I rarely will be using it, because obviously I'm not a masculine person in this sense, and it only has masculine people, and I can use it and appreciate it for what it is, but it's not going to be deck probably for me to use for readings. But how can we support it if we, for example, have a channel or a social media outlet? We can share about those decks. We can make sure that people who maybe would love to buy those decks know about them, right? So let me know what you think. How do you think about diversity? And again, I'm taking it as a given that it is sad that we have to be talking about it, that it is sad that inclusion and inclusivity is not the default, that we have to discuss these things. But I still think we are changing, we're shifting, we're seeing so many more decks that are inclusive, we're seeing so many more amazing decks that are original, curious, show different aspects of life. And I think there is change that's happening, because even couple of years ago, most of the decks probably were white and nobody was even kind of discussing these things. And now it just hit at the publishers levels, when they actually are trying to include much more expressions. So what do you think? How do you see this diverse decks? Do you think every deck should have diverse representation, in a sense of all different cultures? In the lovers card, we should somehow pack every possible expression of love into one? Or would you like to see a couple of different cards for the lovers, let's say, or for some other expressions? Yeah, it's just an invitation. I keep thinking about it myself, and I'm just curious. I'm still, mulling over it, where I stand with it 100%. I only know that if I was an artist, I definitely would love to be able to show what I feel, If I am a heterosexual woman, I would love to depict the lover's cut as a heterosexual couple without feeling like, oh, but people will be now maybe judging me because what about everybody else, And I think the point of diversity is the acceptance that we are diverse and that we can produce diverse products and appreciate and learn from each other. So let me know what you think. And thanks, Aunty Kay, for sparking this discussion again, and for just pointing things out to me. I appreciate it, and I definitely took it on board, and I hope I can express myself clearer for the future reviews. So thank you, and I would love to hear from you guys. Bye.